Hello, everybody. I'm going to take a break tonight from my series just for tonight. I've been kind of under the weather the last few days, but I thought I would take a break and tell you a story. I hope you stick around because it's a wonderful story, true story that happened to me. Now, when you hear the story, you may not think you would put the words wonderful with what's happened, but no, it's not wonderful what happened, but what has gone on through will show you that God is real and He helps us through all situations. And this story will show and will tell that, just another wonderful example. So let's begin. Pull up a chair, and I hope you enjoy and get something out of this. It was late 2009. It was around November. Oh, it was November. I can't quite remember if it was Thanksgiving there or thereabouts, or it had just passed, but it was around that time. And I remember the day because it was just a normal, regular, average, run-of-the-mill day. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing, no indication of anything to come that would alarm me of any way. Just a normal, regular day. I remember having dinner that night. I remember I went to the room to watch some television and play some PlayStation. And then I went to bed. I woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning, and something was seriously wrong. Something just, it didn't feel right. I had a lot of pain in my throat, a lot of pain in my mouth, my face. I mean, my whole upper part of my body was in agony. And of course, my room was dark. I couldn't see nothing, so I had to get up, and I went into the bathroom. I opened my bedroom door and went to the bathroom. And at that time, I was living in an apartment complex about 6-7 miles from here. I now own a home. And I remember, I'll never forget, when I walked into the bathroom and I went to the sink and I flipped the light on and I looked, and my face, my throat was swollen. I had blood coming. My lips were literally just, the skin was gone off my lips. I'm not trying to be gross, but is exactly what is. The skin was gone. My lips were nothing but blood. It was just, you can imagine having lips and no skin. It was just blood. My mouth was just, the pain in my mouth was just unbearable. My throat, I mean, it's just like nothing I've ever experienced. I went to the hospital. Could not figure out what was wrong with me. Remember, I saw specialist after specialist after specialist. I went to all the major university hospitals in Baltimore. I went to Maryland General. I mean, I went and seen this doctor, that doctor, and I was misdiagnosed for 4 months, which I believe played a massively key part, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But for 4 months, I was misdiagnosed with lupus. I was misdiagnosed with, throat cancer, mouth cancer, Wegeman's disease, Stevens-Johnson syndrome. I remember those 4, very well. And about late February, early March, one doctor decided to take a biopsy off of my back. And lo and behold, they sent the biopsy away. And it was, I can't remember, it's just maybe a few days. I don't quite remember. And they called me back in, and we went back into the office, and they said that I had a very rare autoimmune disease. Very rare. It only affects like 125,000 people in the United States. But it was such, a disease that they were not capable of treating it. and was nobody in Harford County, which is the county I live in, was capable of treating this. And they said basically, if I remember right, they said basically, you know, you need to find a specialist. Now here's where the Lord comes in. Now this is the wonderful part of all of this misery that I was in. Because at that time I wanted to die. I was literally, I couldn't eat. I had no will. I was in so much agony, you know, blood. It was just, it's hard to explain, but I just did not have the will to go on anymore because it was just misery. You know, day and night misery. There was no relief. So lo and behold, we found at Johns Hopkins University, which I must say is probably one of the best hospitals in the United States and the world. And it's about 25 minutes from here in Baltimore City. There just so happened to be the one doctor in the United States, and this is true, ladies and gentlemen, that specialized in this illness. The one doctor that specialized in this illness just so happened to practice at Johns Hopkins University Hospital. Now, saying that, Johns Hopkins does not accept my medical insurance. So another roadblock. So I found a doctor that, you know, could treat me and knew everything about this disease. I mean, he was the man. He had wrote papers. He was published, you know, writing all kinds of papers in medical journals on this specific illness. He was published, I don't know how many times. He is the man in the United States to see. I mean, he is. There's nobody other than him. I'm not saying there is now, but in 2009, 2010, that was it. He was the man. This is where God is so wonderful. Now, you find that is amazing enough that the one doctor that you desperately need just so happens to be right in the town next over. And then they don't take my insurance. Well, he said he would see me for my copay, for my regular insurance copay, which for me at the time was $40. And 10 years almost later, it's still, I just pay $40 to see the man. I don't pay him nothing else. Just $40. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. So I went to him, and I was dying. You know, there's no cure for this illness that I have. There's no cure. You have it for the rest of your life. He tried the various oral medications on me, and those had such horrific side effects. You know, I had such terrible stomach, you know, aches and discomforts taking that on top of all the stuff going on from the illness. Then I had all the side effects from the medicine. So, I mean, I was just, you know, done. It just, nothing was working really. And he had recently, within a year of me seeing him, had recently, this is something he came up on his own, I guess from research and stuff like that. He had recently came upon the idea to send patients like myself with this illness to an infusion therapy, chemotherapy at oncology departments to get a chemo for lymphoma. That he found that he got some success by giving patients the lymphoma drugs that people with lymphoma cancer, he gives them that type of chemo, and it seems to have some success. So I started down the road of the chemo. And I've had lots and lots and lots of chemo. I've had lots of PICC lines put in my body for months at a time to get this chemo. And at first it did wonderful. I mean, as much as I hated the side effects of, the chemotherapy, the total weakness, the sick feeling you have from anybody that's ever gone through it or knows somebody knows that it's not a pleasant thing. It helps. It's wonderful in that aspect. But it does have some nasty side effects. So, you got the sickness, and then you have to deal with the medicine that makes you sick too. So it's not fun. So I went through a few years, I'm going to say about 5 years of going to chemo, getting into remission, falling out of remission, going back to chemo, going back into remission, falling back out of remission, going back to chemo. So this was a back and forth for 5 or 6 years. Up until 2017, last year, I was in chemo. So, I mean, this is even still recent. And I haven't had any in 2018, praise the Lord. And I pray 2019 rolls through with no more neither. So I went through a few years, like I said, even up until 2017 of having to go back to chemo, going back into remission, falling out, going back into remission, falling out, but the crux to this story is this. God saved my life because of everything that had happened. The doctor that actually specializes in this is right here in my state. Not only in my state, but one town over, or one city over. He doesn't take my medical insurance, or that hospital doesn't. But he'll work, just takes the copay. He comes up with the idea to use the chemo, which, all the other drugs wasn't working, so this goes back to what I said in one of my videos over my series over this past couple weeks, that God will use people to do the job that needs to be done. God can use doctors to heal. A lot of people don't, when you say something like, like I just said about this doctor, especially non-believers, they have a tendency to believe that, it wasn't God. God don't use a doctor to heal somebody. Well, he does. I mean, the Bible plainly states that God will use any person to get the job done he needs done. Look what he did with Saul on the road to Damascus. Saul was slaughtering Christians left and right. I mean, that was his job. He just killed Christians. And God turned his butt right around, pardon my language, but turned him right around and used him. And he went on to do a wonderful work for the Lord, wrote some of the best books in the Bible, Paul did. So it is now the end of 2018. I am in remission going on, it'll be 2 years, not quite, be about 4 or 5 months from now, March, April. It'll be 2 years in remission. And I'm hoping to keep rolling on from there. I'm praying to keep rolling on from there. And guess what? If I fall out of remission, well, I'll tackle that when I come to it. I'll go back to the chemo and we'll go through it again. It's not like I don't know what to expect. But the good thing about that, and I will say this, is being a Christian, having that belief in Christ, even though you're going through horrible things, sickness, whatever, you always have that there. God is always there. Christ is always there for you. And when I talk to a non-believer about the Lord, for me, that is probably the saddest thing. Because they don't have that and it's hard to explain. It's hard to put in words. They don't have that security. You know, they don't have that security of God in their lives. That rock that's there for them. You know, we don't understand why God does some of the things, let some of the things happen. We do know that, man is in, man has free will. So men are not robots. They do what, some men are evil. Some men that are evil seem to prosper, while others that are very good and wholesome seem to struggle, but, God does mysterious things. I mean, but the wonderful thing is He's always there for you. And throughout all of this, from the minute I went into that bathroom and flipped that light on and saw my face and the everything, until I'm sitting here right now, okay, it's not been a whole, 7 days, 24/7 bowl of cherries, wonderful, it's not. But I've always had the Lord to turn to. And let me tell you something. When you're laying in the middle of the night and you're sick, and I mean, I'm not talking about having the flu or having a little stomach bug. I mean, somebody that's gone through chemo and had that type of sickness, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're laying in your bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're by yourself, and at that time, I was a bachelor. I wasn't married or had a wife or fiance or nothing. So when you're laying by yourself at 2 o'clock in the morning, let me tell you, it's wonderful to know you have the Lord right there to talk to ask for help. It just makes me heartbroken to know that people that do not believe in the Lord, they don't have that. They don't have that security, of knowing the Lord's there. He's right there with them. They don't have that because they don't believe there even is a God. I don't understand that. That is probably what is most upsetting of all. They don't have that belief, that firm belief, that security, as I keep saying security, but that's what it is. That God is real and He's there. He's right there. All you got to do is ask. Believe me, some of the things that's happened to me throughout this whole ordeal would have never happened if it wasn't for my belief and my faith in the Lord. I'm telling you. Now, you can believe what I told you, or you can believe it was just dumb luck that the way this stuff happened. That's fine. You can believe that all you want. You're not going to get no argument from me, because I'm not here to try to twist your arm or not. You can believe my story or you cannot. Again, I go back to God giving you free will. It's your choice. But I'm telling you, it's the truth. And I'm telling you, these things happened because God was there for me. Because God knew what I was going through. He knew I needed help. I asked for help. And He gave me the help. And to this day, I still see that same doctor. I go in for checkups periodically. And like I said, praise the Lord, I'm still in remission. Coming up on 2 years. Like I said, in a few more months, we're going to keep rolling with it. And like I said, if I have to go back, I'll go back. I'll cross that road when I hit it. Until then, I'm going to enjoy my health. I'm going to enjoy the life the Lord's given me. Thank every one of you. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave somebody solace. I hope it gave somebody some peace of mind, because you can call on God. It doesn't matter. He'll be there for you. And if you don't believe in the Lord, I want to say one more quick thing before I sign off. If you don't believe in God, you know what? I'll give a challenge to you, okay? I don't know if I'd call it a challenge, but I don't know another word to use. If you don't believe in God, but you really want to know, is He real? Is this real? Is, the stuff that Brother Dave says real? I want to ask you something. Tonight when you go to bed, Doesn't matter what time it is. When you go to bed tonight and you're quietly laying in bed before you fall asleep, I want you to ask the Lord to reveal himself to you. Now, if you do it in a joking manner or flippant manner, forget it. Just forget it. It's not going to work. But if you sincerely want to know if God is truly real, is he there? Is there a God? If you're to the point where you really want to know, I promise you, this is a promise I can make because I know. Just to ask the Lord to reveal himself to you. And you know what? It might be right then and there. Maybe a week from today. Maybe 6 months. But if you ask him with a realness in your heart, I mean with a real wanting to know, and not in a jokingly flippant manner, but in full realness, if you really truly mean it, I promise you, God will show himself to you to be real. And that day when it happens, that very moment, you will know from that moment on that not only there is a God, but he is real and he loves you. That I will say. So, what do you got to lose? I mean, seriously, to all the ones that comment below, the ones, people don't even realize how many I delete because they're just so nasty. You know, what do you have to lose? I'm talking to those people. What do you have to lose? What? There's no excuse you can give me. What do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose. But you have everything to gain. That's the beauty part about it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Sounds like a winner to me. The ball's in your court. To the rest of you, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed my testimony tonight. Take care of yourselves, okay? Have a wonderful Christmas coming up. Merry Christmas to every single one of you. And I'll return tomorrow with my next video in my series. Take care. God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye-bye.